Oh, I hope that is, of course, my voice is actually clear. So, in this presentation, I'll actually be able to illustrate the entire presentation using PowerPoint. So, at first, that is, of course, when it comes to the first requirement, it actually says the presentation. Who are the group members? So, the person who's actually talking right now is called John Miner. I'm actually the team leader. The other people that is, of course, the the computer that of course I was able to use was unable to actually engage any Zoom. So as a result, there was no virtual meeting. There was no virtual representation that was going to take place. So, but then their names. Their names are Evan Joroge, who is actually the graphic designer, and then Mr. Ruben, who actually was responsible for system integration. Then that is, of course, the project that of course I was able to undertake concerns Shape Up to Ship Up. Basically, it's a smart distribution system that actually deals mostly with automation. Then that is, of course, the problem statement was actually outlined above. And of course, we actually the RS actually ships almost 60,000 parcels per day, so there is actually a need to reduce errors and as well as make sure that of course that there are very few staff that are actually required. Then, as you can see, just a broad description of how that is, of course, the entire process will actually work. It's actually receiving. It's how I actually presumed most picking system actually is receiving the automated part for the description that's actually required. Then the separation, traying, and as well as the length process up until the shipping, which is the final process. Then, that of course, this is actually an illustration that actually shows that in our system, at one point, a few amount of personnel will be required, especially when it comes to lifting. The lifting system I was able to place was only works when the commodities in question have actually been packed. So it also illustrates that a few amount of personnel will be required in order to undertake the entire project. Then that is, of course, this one actually is an representation of how an entire warehouse automation actually will be able to work. Is it? The following are just some mere pictures that give you like a description of how it will actually work. So when it comes to the description of the project, the two-step verification, I was only able to outline it in an image, but the systems that are required, it actually, since it's actually somewhat lengthy, it actually requires a document. But as you can see, it's actually during the pickup stage and the pickup stage and the shipping, whereby the final and the end point, they're actually like linear systems that are required. You can actually see there's actually line 1, line 2, line 3. So what was able to do, lighting system are required, whereby when it's actually white, it actually means that the entire system is operational. When that is, of course, is a blank, it actually illustrates that, or it indicates that there might be an error somewhere along the lines of production. Now, as for the lighting system, now this is how the warehouse will look initially. Before that, of course, any rectifications are actually made. Then that is, of course, as you can see, there are actually like some form of shielding that are required to ensure that, of course, the lighting is actually it's actually contained within. As you can see that, of course, the entire system has actually been compartmentalized to ensure that the light that's actually within is also contained. Then that, of course, the different materials is a translucent, somewhat a bit lighter, to ensure that it's presuming that the workforce, the person monitoring, will be able to view them from a top region. Then that is, of course, this is actually how the system will actually look in an aerial format on a top view when you're actually observing it from the top. Then this is actually now the final. As you can see, the blue material is actually the encasement point of it all. Then that is, of course, is for the pickup system. For the pickup system, I was only able to use, it might not actually be clear to illustrate, but it's actually by use of AutoCAD. As you can see, there's a custom view out. Then that is, of course, the entire illustration. Maybe due to issues of time, I can only be able to illustrate it just on a general perspective, of which, of course, this is how most of the systems actually look at. Since I've seen time is almost 5 minutes, then that is, of course, why the team wants to be part of the RS challenge. Or we actually trying to integrate some of the systems that is, of course, that the company has, like what the issue of air quality projects, and as well as the article that is, of course, we made able to actually view most of them regarding the projects that are actually being made. We wanted to learn how the systems actually tend to work, and also other technologies, even us, we are actually acquainted with the Arduino, for instance, and that is, of course, the electronical designs. Or as for the videos also, we've also wanted to learn more exactly how the systems will actually be able to work, and as well as actually undertaking other projects regarding the UN SG goals that have actually been outlined below, and really hope that it, of course, we can be a part of the team.